On a warm October night in 2023, the skies above Doha lit up, not with fireworks, but with something far more ominous. An unidentified projectile, traveling at hypersonic speed, breached Qatari airspace and triggered a classified emergency protocol deep within Al Udeid Air Base. Officially, nothing happened. Unofficially, the Gulf changed forever. Within hours, encrypted lines buzzed between Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, Manama, Muscat, and Kuwait City. This was not just an attack on Qatar, it was a test of the entire Gulf's shield. And that shield had holes. What followed was a transformation never seen before, the creation of an invisible web of air defense systems, drone countermeasures, and satellite blind zones built not for display, but for survival. American, French, and Israeli contractors flew in under diplomatic silence. Biometric command centers were constructed beneath desert fortresses. This isn't a story of retaliation, it's the story of how the richest kingdoms on Earth began preparing for a war they won't admit exists. The night the sky shattered. It began with a blip. Just past 11:42 p.m., Qatari radar systems detected an object moving faster than Mach 5. The anomaly appeared for less than 7 seconds, then disappeared without impact. No explosion, no debris. Just a sonic disturbance that shook windows in northern Doha and triggered seismic sensors at the American-controlled Al Udeid base. The official report cited a meteorological distortion, but those inside the Gulf security establishment knew better. 3 surveillance satellites, one Emirati, one French, one American, captured thermal signatures of an inbound projectile originating from somewhere near the Strait of Hormuz. The object's trajectory bypassed known Iranian missile paths, hinting at either a rogue operation or a foreign actor testing the Gulf's blind spots. Within minutes, private jets lifted off from Doha, carrying Qatari military officials and royal security to a decommissioned NATO bunker outside Brussels. Meanwhile, Al Udeid shifted to DEFCON 3, quietly. Lights stayed on. Pilots remained in the cockpits. But no alarm was ever sounded for civilians. For the next 72 hours, Gulf airspace was flooded with reconnaissance flights. Emirati AWACS circled Bahrain. Saudi fighters were scrambled twice over the empty quarter. Oman locked down its Musandam Peninsula. Behind closed doors, Emir Tamim convened a secret meeting with his defense minister and cyber intelligence chiefs. What they saw on classified satellite footage confirmed a worst-case theory. The projectile was not a test. It was a probe. A probe meant to map weaknesses in Qatari air defense, possibly disguised as a weather anomaly, using stealth coatings and electromagnetic pulse diffusers. This wasn't a strike. It was an invitation to a war Qatar wasn't prepared for. By dawn on the 4th day, an encrypted communique reached the highest levels of the GCC. Its message was chillingly direct. "We are exposed. Build the shield." Thus began the invisible war. The Desert Architects. What followed the attack was not panic, it was precision. Within 10 days, an emergency summit took place in a subterranean conference hall beneath Abu Dhabi's Crown Prince Court. It was codenamed Black Sand. Only 10 men and women were present, each hand-picked by the region's most powerful rulers. They were not generals. They were technocrats, cybersecurity visionaries, defense procurement tacticians, the true architects of modern Gulf warfare. Qatar brought its data scientists from the Sidra Intelligence Lab. The UAE sent engineers from EDGE Group, a defense tech conglomerate with deep Israeli ties. Saudi Arabia dispatched royal advisors fluent in French and Hebrew, trained in biometric security at the Sorbonne. Oman and Kuwait observed silently, but took notes on every word. Their goal was not to build missiles, it was to build invisibility. A digital map was projected, displaying every known radar gap, satellite delay, and drone blind zone from Kuwait to Muscat. The Gulf, for all its wealth, was vulnerable, not because it lacked weapons, but because its defenses were disconnected, nationalized, and often outdated. The Desert Architects proposed a solution, an AI-driven pan-GCC early warning network that operated independently of American command chains. It would use quantum satellite relays, facial recognition drones, acoustic pressure nodes buried beneath the dunes, and smart dust sensors installed across coastal and urban perimeters. Israel's Rafael advanced defense systems had already offered access to advanced Iron Dome analytics, but through a French intermediary to avoid public backlash. The UAE offered to front the cost, over $4 billion, to deploy the system under a joint shell company registered in Singapore. Qatar, despite its strained ties with several neighbors, agreed. The shock of the attack had united even the most estranged Emirates. Security now superseded politics. Within 48 hours of Black Sand, encrypted orders were sent. French cargo planes landed in Al Khor. Israeli cybersecurity consultants checked into the Rosewood Abu Dhabi under fake Swiss identities. American engineers were offered one-year blackout contracts. No social media, no contact with embassies, only encrypted field devices. And beneath the golden dunes of the Gulf, the real construction began. Not of buildings, but of eyes. The invisible war was no longer just theory, it was becoming infrastructure. The shield you can't see. In early 2024, as Ramadan approached, what looked like a wave of infrastructure upgrades across the Gulf was in fact the silent deployment of one of the most advanced air defense meshes in human history. No parades, no statements, just cranes in the desert, coding in bunkers, and satellites silently shifting orbit. The name of the system remains classified. Internally, Emirati officials refer to it as Sama'at, a word loosely translated as the layers of the sky. It is not one system, but 6. Laser-guided drone jammers, acoustic missile interceptors, AI-driven threat discrimination units, smart surface-to-air railguns, decoy emitters, and predictive swarm response software. Each unit is spread out, not in military zones, but across hospitals, stadiums, desalination plants, and even luxury resorts. In Riyadh, a new spa complex with subterranean mineral pools is actually the cover for a hyperspectral threat analysis dome. In Doha, an art museum's foundation houses a ballistic countermeasure, AI, fed by sensor data from tourist drones operating across Souk Waqif. American tech firms were quietly contracted through Canadian and Danish subsidiaries to install the real-time simulation models. Their brief? Simulate every possible air incursion scenario, including rogue Israeli drones, Iranian hypersonics, and worst-case friendly fire accidents. Qatar, always a step ahead in data, fused the system with its national ID network. Any aerial incursion can now trigger lockdowns in individual buildings, redirect city traffic, and reassign mobile networks to encrypted emergency channels, all without alerting the public. Saudi Arabia took it a step further. MBS approved a classified agreement allowing NEOM's AI core to act as a threat detection sentinel for the Western Corridor. As part of the deal, NEOM's facial recognition system, already scanning thousands daily, now doubles as a biometric watchtower. A single stress spike in a VIP corridor? Instant alerts to Riyadh's central command. What makes Sama'at terrifying is not just its invisibility, but its autonomy. AI agents manage the entire mesh. Human override exists, but only after the first response wave is deployed. This ensures there's no delay, no debate, and no external sabotage. One European intelligence advisor who reviewed a redacted schematic said, "If NATO had this during the Gulf War, history would be unrecognizable." In March 2024, an unknown drone veered too close to Abu Dhabi's presidential palace. No weapons were fired, no alarms were triggered. But later that night, foreign ministry officials confirmed the drone's engine had melted mid-flight without any visible impact. This was not a warning shot, this was proof. Riyadh's silent frontier. If Doha was the warning, Riyadh was the response. Saudi Arabia, once considered the sleeping giant of Gulf military tech, moved faster than anyone expected. Within weeks of the Doha incident, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman signed an executive directive under total blackout conditions, Operation Sand Halo. Operation Sand Halo was more than defense. It was architectural warfare. MBS authorized the re-engineering of key civilian zones into covert military dual-use assets. In the outskirts of Diriyah, a series of luxury residential compounds began housing hidden radar stations built beneath swimming pools and private garages. The Royal Protocol Wing at King Khalid International Airport was retrofitted with retractable anti-drone netting, capable of disabling swarm formations within a 2-mile radius. More shocking was what happened underground. Beneath Riyadh's financial district, a secret chamber referred to internally as the Vault was expanded to include over 4,000 square meters of reinforced cyber command space. The Vault is connected to private subterranean rail lines, one leading to a classified NEOM node, another to a desert installation rumored to test EMP countertech. At the heart of the Vault sits Falcon X, an AI system fed by over 2 decades of joint US-Saudi data sharing. But post-Doha, that data flow became one-way. Washington still feeds intel. Riyadh no longer shares returns. Simultaneously, Saudi Arabia deployed a new wave of urban camouflage. LED billboard towers across Riyadh double as signal jammers. Fountains outside elite hotels are embedded with acoustic sensors that map sound anomalies from jet propulsion signatures. The Ritz-Carlton, now rumored to house a biometric checkpoint command hub disguised as a wine cellar. MBS did not announce any of it. Instead, he launched Vision Shield, a PR campaign praising regional resilience and innovation. Behind the glossy images of smiling engineers and futuristic drones, a new fortress was being built, one that didn't look like war. In March 2024, an Israeli defense contractor received an encrypted message. A private satellite feed showed unusual thermal activity in northern Riyadh. When analyzed, it revealed subterranean power fluxes matching those of a hyperscale AI array. The feed disappeared within minutes. The Israeli team never received a reply. The Saudis weren't asking for help anymore. The Gulf without a sky. By mid-2024, the skies above the GCC looked the same, clear, azure, tranquil. But beneath that stillness was a layer of code, lasers, and classified radar fields, known only to a handful of royals and war room tacticians. The Gulf had reinvented the very concept of sovereignty, not with tanks or treaties, but with atmosphere. Kuwait installed electromagnetic walls that could fry incoming electronics before they entered its airspace. Bahrain, the smallest of them all, deployed Israeli-designed nano-drones capable of intercepting objects as small as a falcon mid-flight. Oman, typically neutral, built floating radar barges disguised as fisheries in the Arabian Sea. They watch everything and say nothing. Together, these systems formed what military insiders now call the invisible dome. It is not a shield like Israel's Iron Dome. It is not built to be seen. It is built to never be used. A single intrusion could trigger a domino of silent reactions. Lights changing, doors locking, power grids rerouting. Each Gulf capital now has a fallback bunker equipped with biometric-only access and quantum communication lines, capable of withstanding a full-scale cyber attack or aerial incursion. The irony? No one has claimed responsibility for the original projectile over Doha. Some say it was a rogue test by Iran. Others whisper of experimental US tech gone astray. A few point to Israel, testing Gulf reaction time under cover of silence. But the most unnerving theory, it was intentional, not by an enemy, but by an ally, designed to force the Gulf into evolution. Whatever the truth, the Gulf no longer waits for explanations. They watch, they listen, and they prepare. Above all else, the skies may look empty, but they are full of ghosts. In a world obsessed with visibility, power displays, summits, warships, the Gulf has chosen the opposite. Its rulers now wield a kind of strength so silent, it's terrifying. Their cities gleam, their skylines grow, their airlines fly. But overhead, an invisible architecture of defense and deterrence, where every grain of desert and beam of light is weaponized. The attack on Doha may have lasted seconds, but its echo will last generations. What is power when it no longer announces itself? Would you feel safe in a kingdom where every silence is planned, every shadow monitored? Drop your thoughts in the comments. One reply will win a mystery luxury gift.